Jalen.
The Clippers can do whatever the hell they want, but I'm not going to trust them. Correct me if I'm wrong, but
Rockets have won 5 in a row. They're 7-3. What do you make of the Harden-Less Rockets? Should they make more moves? Should they go into a full rebuild, or should they just stay the same? Perry, we'll start with you.
Perfect. I remember I wasn't a little youth, but I still said it. I said sometimes you have to take a step back to take a step forward. I remember, let me count. One, two people on the screen said, "Oh, removing Harden isn't gonna make the Rockets better." Blah 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 blah. I don't think that Oladipo really makes a big of a difference. Da 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 da. I think the Rockets are playing a very cohesive brand of basketball. And I think one thing that we as basketball fans don't really give enough credit to is coaching. Shout out to Steven Silas. It's his first job. He handled maybe the biggest nightmare in sports next to Steve Nash, and he handled it with grace and dignity. He took this Rockets team. They're so fun to watch. They play on both ends of the basketball. They're just not enough to win a championship as a whole yet, because we're waiting on John Wall to step into his greatness. We're waiting on DeMarcus Cousins to step into his greatness. Christian Wood needs a couple more mileage on his legs. You know what I'm saying? Then we need to see whether Oladipo's staying, or if you have to trade him and see the pieces that replace. But this team is looking nasty. Plus, they have draft picks too. Mama, there goes that team.
You're up. I can see your face. You're disgusted.
nasty is a
Disgusted.
stretch. Nasty is a stretch. Are they playing good basketball? Absolutely. Um, are they better defensively? They got rid of James Harden, so automatically, even if they didn't add anybody, they would have gotten better defensively.
Damn.
Um, but am I gonna overreact over a 10 game span when one, you get rid of a locker room cancer in James Harden? Two, all the negative energy that James Harden brought is now gone. Three, all the extra weight that James Harden brought literally is gone. Um, and four,
He was slim.
the ball actually moves around now. Obviously, guys are going to be on a high. Guys are going to, the extra shot of adrenaline. I'm not going to overreact. This team still won't make the playoffs. Right now, they're the eighth seed. If Portland wins tonight, they go back to the ninth seed. They'll make the playoff tournament, I guess, and that's their ceiling. But like the best case scenario is that they lose in the first round. Are they gonna, if they make the eighth seed or the seventh seed, they play either the Clippers or the Lakers? Are they beating either of those teams? So really, how nasty do the Houston Rockets look if that's
I
their
think they look
ceiling?
great. They're very fun. I just think they need time to gel. To be completely honest with you, I think they need time to gel. Players are coming off of injuries, and they're career-ending injuries. We're watching the end of the Achilles rupture or tear being the death sentence for a basketball player's career, and Kevin Durant and John Wall. We're watching DeMarcus
And
Cousins
Boogie,
show
and
some
Boogie.
flashes. Yeah, yeah, he has some flashes. I think they need to have that time where DeMarcus can get comfortable playing again, where John Wall can get comfortable playing again, and where Oladipo can just play a free brand of basketball. If Oladipo leaves, hey, you know what? At least we tried. If Oladipo stays, this team is a team that can run a fast break. You can run a couple plays. Now we need to decide: is Oladipo going to improve his jump shot and bring this team to another level? Is John Wall going to step in as vintage John Wall that could bring me to not a championship, sorry, but to the playoffs consistently? And is Boogie going to be the old Boogie, being the best center in the league?
But see, and it's the
That's what
same
we're waiting
issue.
on. No, I understand the ifs, but what we're watching is this team slowly beginning to click, and the proof is in the pudding.
And like I said, it's absolutely fair. They're on a great run. Obviously, you get rid of, like I said, James Harden and his baggage and all that stuff. It's a breath of fresh air. It's going to re-galvanize your team. I'm not denying they're not playing good basketball, but for me to
Of
sit
course,
here and say, am I impressed? knowing that their ceiling, that, let's be honest, they will not get higher than the sixth seed. If we're being real, they will
This
not get higher
season?
than the sixth seed. Yeah, correct. This season, I really don't see them getting higher than the sixth seed, right? So they have the seventh and eighth seed. So if their ceiling is to be swept or maybe losing five to either the Lakers or the Clippers, I don't view that. For me, it's too many ifs on the Houston Rockets. If John Wall returns to form, if DeMarcus Cousins returns to form, if Christian Wood keeps hooping, if Victor Oladipo figures out a jump shot, that's way too many ifs for me to be comfortable in saying that the Houston Rockets are in a good space.
Mukhtar, Houston Rockets, 5 in a row is the how much they won. They're 7-3 right now without James Harden. Do you think that they should make more moves, go into a rebuild, or stay the same?
I think Houston's okay. Perry was right. They did turn into a pretty decent team. Steven Salas is showing that he's a really good NBA coach. I agree with Perry on that. He really showed his calling because that's a really tough time going through a superstar wanting out of your team as soon as you get signed. So good for him. But I think this is my personal opinion. I think what Houston's doing is genius. They have a bunch of draft picks right now, and they have a bunch of these veterans that are playing really well. Eric Gordon's playing well. PJ Tucker's playing well.
Trade value.
DeMarcus Cousins playing well. Victor Oladipo's playing well. I will not be surprised if they just dump all those guys in the trade deadline. Get as many assets as you can. Get like 4 first-round picks for all those guys. Get like as many, because at this point, what I'm looking at as a Houston Rockets fan is I want to rebuild around John Wall and Christian Wood. I just want to keep those two guys. So DeMarcus Cousins, I think he'd be a really good piece somewhere else. I think he's a better version of what Brook Lopez is because he can kind of shot create as a five, which is kind of crazy. But I think the Sixers could potentially trade for Victor Oladipo or even Eric Gordon. So like, there's a lot of stuff that could happen, and I think they should be all-time sellers at the trade deadline.
Yeah, I think that's a great idea, actually. If they go into the selling mode, give playoff teams some items, and then retain some like young pieces and build it around a guy like Christian Wood.
And John Wall.
And John Wall. Yeah, just keep John Wall. Like, is there a team out there that would want John Wall, you think?
Not with that contract.
Yeah, that's what I mean, right? Like, I don't know who's going to take his contract, right?
Not with that contract, but I think he was almost 30. I think he just turned 30. Okay. Not with this contract, but I think if you keep John Wall and you actually focus on building a team around him, you'd actually have a really good team because John Wall's an unselfish player.
You think Washington knocks on the door and cries?
Well, Washington made a big mistake trading this guy, man. But this is my.
Bro, it was a worst mistake.
It was a big mistake. That was crazy. But
that team is not built for Westbrook to succeed.
Well, Westbrook's healthy now, so we have to give him some time.
Yo, so wait. And like Jalen, I think you're the biggest Westbrook guy here. What if that trade never happened, and they still traded Harden, right? Because that happened, and Westbrook was the point guard of Houston. You think he would be succeeding a lot more?
I don't think so, no.
Not at all?
It's tough for me to say because it's a hypothetical. But
yeah, no, 100%.
Based on what has happened to Westbrook this season in terms of his health, I don't see him being able to do what John Wall has done with this Houston team. And the reason is because John Wall is really good friends with Boogie and really good friends with Christian Wood. Like, they were all friends before that. So obviously you have that chemistry that is built prior to you stepping on the basketball court as a unit together. John Wall has known DeMarcus Cousins since his Kentucky days. They played on the same. Yeah, they played on the same team. So they have a ridiculous understanding, and they've been trying to work together for ages. Christian Wood is a really good friend of John Wall. So I think the situation that Houston has fits perfectly for John Wall in a way that I don't think would work for Russell Westbrook. Mm-hmm. The only issue that the Wizards, they're having two issues right now. The Wizards' issues are Scott Brooks can't spell defense, yet alone coach it. And They just had their first full practice as a team 3 days ago.
Mm-hmm.
They've been practicing with 8 guys for the entire season. So
Mm-hmm.
if they've been decimated with injury, the health and safety protocol due to coronavirus. Russell Westbrook has had thigh injuries that has affected him all season. Um, and this was the first glimpse that we got the other day with his with his 47 point performance, um, 10 rebounds and 8 assists and a game-winning three. That we saw Russell Westbrook look somewhat like himself,
Mm-hmm.
somewhat like his old self. Now it's just a question of him being able to string it together. But to answer your question, I don't think he would have been able to do what John Wall is doing. And I don't want to say John Wall because they have a ton of pieces there. They have a ton of pieces there, and John Wall has been somewhat underwhelming to me. But John Wall looks like he has these guys moving, and he's like they're having fun. And
He's a true
I
floor
know
general.
and
Yeah.
I know that's what you were alluding to, Perry, when you said this team was exciting. That's what you were alluding to, and I don't want you to think that I'm disagreeing with that. I'm just saying for them to be successful, like past this little run that they're having. That's what I meant.